I'm by no means overweight, nor am I underweight. I have a fairly thin, lean physique, but I have been trying to put on muscle and bulk up. I feel like men's beauty standards are very high nowadays, and being at least somewhat muscular is the bare minimum since almost every Generation Z man goes to the gym. I know people often say that girls do not care about muscles, but nearly every guy I know who has a girlfriend works out. I am just wondering how much of a difference gaining muscle makes when it comes to attracting women. I should clarify that I mean being visibly muscular, not just being in shape. I do a lot of cardio, but I am still fairly thin. Story 1. I get more attention during my summer cutting phase every time. Muscle does not matter. I do the lifting for myself. The lean part does matter, though. Story 2. Anyone who says women do not care about muscles is huffing copium big time. Being in shape and generally looking like you take care of yourself matters a lot. Clean teeth, no bad breath, fitting clean clothes, good facial skincare, and an athletic appearance are all good things. Think about what you like in women. Athletic appearance and cleanliness are what you will notice most of all when you think about it. Though that is not everyone, of course. Story 3. I would say more than women will admit to. This is because women often do not realize how much hard work it takes to look good for most men. I have heard people say Henry Cavill's body as Superman is a dad bod. Yes, Superman has a dad bod, apparently. So when they say they like a man with a bit of fat, they are actually saying they like a very fit man with 15% body fat. Story 4. Anecdotal but true. I have been a gym rat on and off my whole life. I typically have 5 or 6 years of consistency where I get in really good physical shape. Then, something happens in life and I get sidetracked and skip 4 or 5 years. When that happens, I get very out of shape and gain weight. When I am in shape, women notice me. When I get out of shape, they stop. It definitely makes a difference in first impressions. Story 5. You should not even be thinking about it in terms of dating. Your life will objectively be better the better shape you are in. Story 6. I did well myself when I was skinny like a high school athlete in terms of attraction. After gaining 30 to 40 pounds of muscle, far from a meathead, I can say a lot has changed. People who say girls are not attracted to it are wrong. If you have some muscles and leanness, that is what most women find attractive, rather than the meathead look. There are diminishing returns once you reach a certain point. Story 7. It will make it easier to get your foot in the door with first dates and casual conversations, but your personality will have to take it from there. Story 8. When women say they do not like muscles, they probably have a mental image of Arnold Schwarzenegger during his bodybuilding days. Athletic muscles, however, are highly desired. Think of a chiseled swimmer's build. This is what they mean when they say average or lean. Avoid aiming for bulky, showy muscles, as most do not like those huge muscles. Story 9. A bit. I've been slowly losing weight in the last few years, and I've been seeing more interest from women toward me. In fact, there is one woman who I've been friendly acquaintances with for years now. She even points out my weight loss progress, telling me I'm looking good. She seems to have become quite flirty with me since I lost weight. The last time I bumped into her, she was very touchy when talking to me and said things like, "Oh, there he is," in a flirty tone of voice. I am thinking I might shoot my shot with her next time I see her. Story 10. Being in shape can override many other factors. Forget what Reddit or the internet tells you. Money is number 1. Attractiveness is number 2. And being fit is part of attractiveness. Money is the overwhelming quality in another person that makes someone dateable. I wish it weren't that way, but it is known. It is not new. It has become more pronounced in recent years as materialism has taken over. Be fit. Do not be unfit. But if that fails, be rich. If that also fails, move on. Story 11. Yes, it is absolutely critical. It is hard enough for the average man to get any attention from women. Since I got in shape, my dating life has improved significantly. Story 12. Being in shape makes sex 3 times more enjoyable for everyone involved. It is not even about physical appearance. Imagine getting tired after only 5 minutes or just a few movements, ladies and gentlemen both. Story 13. If gaining muscle is your way to have more confidence, then perfect. But it's not the muscles. It is the confidence that is attractive. A man with a dad bod and tons of confidence will do much better with women than a sad person with muscles. Story 14. I went to the mall the other day and saw many out-of-shape men with average faces accompanied by very attractive women. Story 15. No woman wants a man who is weak. If you are not bulky and strong, you should be fast or lean or something. Be anything other than skinny or normal. Story 16. I watched a Dr. Mike video that reviews some studies on attraction. The bald Dr. Mike explains that women tend to prefer men who weigh more than they do and have a V-shaped body structure. Essentially, if your upper body is wider than your hips, it is considered attractive. Women are often unaware of what they are subconsciously attracted to, so they focus on the muscles themselves rather than what the muscles do to your overall frame. Studies clearly show that having large upper body muscles is important for attractiveness. It does not have to be extreme, which is why some women may think they do not care. They do care if you have little muscle, but you do not need to be a bodybuilder. Also, having a small amount of body fat probably will not hurt, but if it is excessive, it is less attractive. Story 17. I feel like men's beauty standards are very high nowadays, and being at least somewhat muscular is the bare minimum considering how almost every Generation Z man goes to the gym. You are entirely correct. The gym craze that started in the late 2000s caused major inflation in body standards. Nowadays, being a normal weight man is already considered subpar, often described as skinny fat by most. Not going to the gym and having at least some results is a huge competitive disadvantage. One thing to realize is that gaining muscle is one of the very few changes men can make to noticeably increase their attractiveness because almost all other aspects of male beauty are genetic, such as height, hair, jawline, voice pitch, and penis size. There is a reason the gym has become a religion for men in the last 10 to 15 years, even affecting teenage boys. Not to mention rampant steroid usage. Also, it is no coincidence that the gym craze correlates almost perfectly with the popularity of social media and dating applications. I know we always say women do not care about muscles, but almost every man I know who has a girlfriend works out. I am just wondering how much of a difference gaining muscle makes when it comes to attracting women. It does make an impact, and most women who say they do not like muscle are not being truthful because they like to portray themselves as the non-shallow gender. Also, most women who say this refer to extremely veiny, dry, or bulky men who are a very small percentage of the population and heavily abuse steroids. Lean, natural muscle is liked by virtually all women. Story 18. It helps a lot. However, other things are far more important. Just to give one example, I was raised very conservative. My parents are shy and not very confident, yet capable and good-looking people. I was mistreated by women pretty badly. I was convinced I was ugly, uninteresting, and so on. Turns out a lot of the time I was mistreated because of a combination of things, from low self-esteem to other factors. One key thing was that I was fancied too much. I recently discovered girls have crushes on me. I have a nickname at my university, and quite a few follow me. I am apparently dreamy to some women. Many think I'm a playboy and actually give me attitude. I just thought I was generally disliked. It's hilarious because I'm 25 and a virgin. It's surreal. I gained some confidence and ended up talking to 5 different women in a single month. Most of them initiated contact, but this time I had the confidence to recognize the signals and initiate something more. I'm far from fit, but I'm lean. I thought I was skinny and weak. I'm still processing all of this. The amount of time spent worrying and being scared of women. I still am, to an extent. Anyway, my point is confidence goes a long way. I am still very insecure but literally live in a different reality now. It's hard to explain. Additionally, I am genuinely nice, though I have a lot of issues. I'm interested in people I meet and am not up for shallow relationships. I noticed this really helps after you break the ice and go on a few dates, like a lot. I am not typing this to brag. I hope you can find something useful in this. I too thought I'd have to spend at least a year in the gym to even consider dating. I am not giving any definite answers because I am still processing and learning. Confidence and honesty, seeing the other person, seem to go a long way. Who would have thought? They want the same things we do. The internet had twisted my view of women for a long time. Sorry for oversharing. This is all new to me, and from what I can tell, many interesting, good-looking, and good men are single because they don't put themselves out there, believing no one will like them. I am starting to see that's not true, at least I think. Story 19. After a certain point, I get a lot more attention from men than women. It helps to look good, obviously, but most women would be happy with a bit of muscle and abs. They do not need you to be Chris Bumstead, Jeff Side, or even Henry Cavill. Story 20. Honestly, it matters significantly. While I have been out of the dating world for a few years, I remember distinctly that when I was thinner, it was easy for me to get numbers and go on first dates. When I was overweight, it was much more difficult. Now that I am in good shape, though not the best compared to my early 20s, I notice women paying more attention to me compared to when I was overweight a few years ago. Story 21. It varies a lot. However, I will say that you need to maintain at least a baseline of good physical condition if you want to keep your libido up and last a long time in certain positions. It also keeps your brain healthier, which has many other relationship benefits. The most important thing is to work with what you have and stop comparing yourself to others. There will always be someone stronger and more handsome, and chasing trends is never good. If you let any of that destroy your confidence and effort, that is when your attractiveness declines. Story 22. You are you, and you should seek a person who wants to date you for who you are. Gaining muscle might expand your dating pool, but the expansion would likely not include good women. A woman who doesn't like you but only appreciates the 10 pounds of muscle you add is superficial and probably not a good long-term partner. If you are just looking for more short-term hookups, then it is fine. Story 23. If you are a man wanting to know how important it is for women that a man is in shape, it is better to check the Ask Women No Censor forum. This question has surely been asked there, so you will get your answer without waiting for people to comment. Also, do not exercise just for the dating game. Do it because your body needs it and you only have one body. Story 24. In my personal experience, it is not so much about the muscles as it is the effort. Women can easily tell when someone takes care of themselves, and I believe that is what many of them care about most. If a man is willing to take time to care for his body, it is a sign of dedication and focus. These are qualities that women who are searching for long-term commitment are looking for. Story 25. It matters, and it irritates me when I see people say it does not. I speak to plenty of women and homosexual men, and there is usually a common thread in who they find attractive. I have seen men whose faces are pretty average, but they have physiques that boost their attractiveness. Yes, personality and intelligence matter a lot, but looks give you an easier chance at even getting in the door. I personally work out for myself and do not focus heavily on aesthetics because I just do not care. Story 26. If you don't mind exclusively getting dates with beached whales or trolls best suited for a life under a bridge, then yes, it is very important. If I just described your dream lass, you have nothing to worry about. Story 27. Women do not like to admit it, but it matters a lot. My physique has changed significantly in the last 3 months, and it is like night and day. Story 28. The actual answer is this. If a girl doesn't like you to begin with, she's not going to suddenly start liking you if you have muscles. However, if she already likes you, she will like you more if you are fit and in shape. They won't admit this because it's not socially acceptable for women to admit they like sex or bodies. Losing weight, adding muscle, and being fit is almost never a bad thing. You have absolutely nothing to lose by doing it and much to gain if you do. Story 29. I am 23 years old and have never been to a gym. That being said, I maintain a healthy physique with almost no visible body fat. I eat healthy. It is not all about how you look. It is the appearance that lets people know you have strong discipline and that you are on top of your game. Do not stress too much. Just do not expect to weigh 250 pounds and lift small weights. Story 30. From hearing my Generation Z nieces talk about guys they find attractive, muscle definitely doesn't hurt with that demographic. It depends on the right amount, the definition, and of course the woman herself. One swoons over abs and fit guys. The other finds abs repulsive but still wants a fit guy with a moderate amount of definition. Overall, it seems to help more with the initial impression and less over time. Personality matters more. Story 31. It is important to be in good shape. It is important to be strong and have endurance. To avoid feeling depressed, experiencing brain fog, or being lethargic. It is not necessary to be muscular. Some women prefer that, but you should not worry about them. More women will feel intimidated and apprehensive when they meet you than those who only date men with defined abdominal muscles, especially once you are an adult. Another point about men whose personality revolves around being fit. Today I learned that many women find that goofy and feminine. Self-obsession is often seen as an inside joke. Even women who appreciate an attractive social media presence view it as more feminine than a regular, laid-back man. A key distinction: dating and attracting women are different. Many young people from Generation Z who focus on attraction often do so to avoid being proactive and to reduce anxiety, especially in young women. They do it to avoid making the first move and to avoid being left uncertain. While this approach can help, it does not change the fact that you will need to be the one to initiate, pursue, and make efforts to reassure the anxieties of young women. Story 32. Never had an issue dating. I am not a small guy by any stretch. However, I am funny and can hold a conversation. Story 33. It depends on who you are trying to attract. Any woman who spends time working on her body will expect the same from her partner. If you are a frumpy-looking man, you will mostly attract frumpy-looking women. If you want a girl with a fit, perfect body, you need to build one yourself. There needs to be mutual dynamics like this for the relationship to work and be equal. Story 34. It has been a while since I was in the dating scene, but as someone who is generally shy and quiet, being in good shape in my 20s made it extremely easy to meet women. I worked out 7 days a week religiously, maintained a strict diet, and had the type of body you would see in magazines. Almost all of the women I met approached me first. It also helped my confidence enough that I was able to approach a woman on rare occasions myself. A big caveat is that I was in my mid-20s and going out to a lot of bars and clubs, places where many single women would be. I have actually been thinking very seriously about getting back into shape for that reason. I got out of a 12-year relationship and have been single for 3 years now. I have not casually dated in a good 15 years and need all the help I can get. I imagine it will still require a good deal of effort because I do not hang out in those types of scenes anymore, and women my age are looking for more serious things than six-pack abs and ripped muscles. That aside, it would help with my overall energy levels and my confidence, both of which can go a long way in meeting somebody. I have lost most of my muscle mass and am on the thin side now, but I am generally always tired and like to spend my evenings alone, relaxing. I will probably resign myself to dying alone if I do not change my lifestyle soon. Story 35. It depends on the girls. Much like guys, we like different body types. For me, overly muscular men are kind of gross and creep me out. Too many veins, one paper cut and he's gone. It's just not for me. Besides that, I like most body types. I do prefer someone a little in shape since I do a lot of activities. Story 36. I've always been overweight but never obese. It never seemed to stop me. I had plenty of fun in my early to mid-20s and am now dating an amazing woman who I am going to marry. Story 37. To me, it is extremely important, but I am also a personal trainer who has a full-time job as a soccer and football referee. I do not care if people do not train, including friends and family. That is up to them. However, if I date a girl, I want her to enjoy going for hikes, working out with me, and doing similar activities. I also know how good and healthy it is to work out. Story 38. I spend 6 hours in the gym, can almost do 1,000, and recently lost 40 pounds. I have seen no change in female interest. Story 39. I cannot speak to what women like, but I recommend being as healthy as possible. For what it is worth, much to my surprise, my wife, who is white, loves my Asian skin, the color and the feel. Apparently, it is the combination of soft texture over firm muscle underneath. Story 40. I don't know, man. You need to dress above average in every outfit. You should not be a slob, and your place needs to be clean, especially the bathroom, which should be spotless. You need to have a decent career, but more importantly, you need to be able to make her laugh and have fun with her. Then, you need to make sure you have enough cardio and strength to satisfy her better than she has been satisfied before. You can be handsome, built, lean, ripped, or whatever. But honestly, most women just want to be with someone cool, kind, gentle but firm, assertive but not aggressive, patient but reasonable. If she decides to give you a chance, you need to make sure to please her as many times as you can and make it enjoyable. Have the status of an above-average guy. Stop doing things women consider undesirable. Get yourself sorted into the top tier of men. Be genuinely fun to be with and a joy to be around. Give her your best. Congratulations, you have a girlfriend. If you do it right, you will have a best friend and life partner. There are people who are obsessed with peculiar things like a spoon collection or odd habits. There are also plenty of women who are not good partners, just like some men. Don't be fooled. Everyone gets a chance, but if she blows it, she's out. Don't be fooled by appearances or status. Looks fade, and status changes. If she isn't fun to you and doesn't fit your lifestyle, even if she is attractive, everyone is wasting their time. If you're intimidated by attractive women, go into the conversation knowing she might see you as an outsider. The goal is to get comfortable being fun around anyone, regardless of their appearance. Story 41. The idea that women do not like muscles is mainly propaganda intended to make men more effeminate. It is not true. The reason some women feel intimidated by men who are physically fit is that it makes them feel more insecure if they are not. This is a fact. Story 42. Doing anything for a woman's attraction is misguided. Do whatever you want for yourself and yourself only. Side note, having money, prospects, and a reasonably sized penis helps as well. Story 43. When I was dating, I found that appearance matters, but not as much as we are led to believe. Weight matters far more than muscle. Being too skinny or too fat greatly reduces your options. I know because I started off heavy, lost weight a bit too much, then gained a little back. I personally experienced how much the dating pool grows and shrinks as a result. There seems to be a sweet spot for weight. Muscle was a very mixed bag. I started adding muscle after reaching a good weight and found it didn't make much difference. The things that made a bigger difference than weight are being emotionally available, knowing what I want and need, and not settling. This creates a more confident and established energy, which women notice. Having a healthy and caring relationship with myself and my emotions, knowing how to be vulnerable, having good boundaries, being able to have mature conversations around disagreements and conflict, holding space for difficult feelings and even confrontation without getting defensive or letting my ego take over, knowing how to repair after rupture, and knowing when someone isn't right for you and moving on quickly are all important. Believe me, that work can be more difficult than going to the gym, but the rewards are more than worth it. Story 44. Of course, all women fall on a spectrum. That said, in my opinion, the women I have observed in my life generally care less about a man being muscular than other important traits such as confidence, life goals, health, cleanliness, how he treats them, and financial security. It is important to note that health is not exactly synonymous with muscles. Story 45. Sorry, I'm a woman and I shouldn't be commenting here, but it's at least nice to know that we're all truly living the same life. On paper, I'm a catch, but I don't actively date because I feel like I need to look like an OnlyFans model or get fillers and surgery and be skinny, not curvy. I'm not fishing for compliments, just giving a vulnerable example. I really hate what beauty standards do to all of us, including men. We all do it to each other too. Sometimes it's subtle in our daily lives by upholding beauty standards. I don't know what to say because this is a men's subreddit and others here can give you better advice. Hang in there. For me personally, attraction is important, but I don't look at muscles. I look at someone's heart, their character, and how they treat themselves. I'm also 36, so I'm in a different stage in life. I notice muscles in the "oh cool, he has a hobby and likes to take care of himself or have a routine sort of way, or he has discipline." Story 46. Woman here. Just as with men's preferences for women's bodies, I think it depends on the woman and maybe also on where you live. I genuinely am not interested in bulky men like Henry Cavill who train for vanity. Many women are well aware that this is a very unrealistic and unhealthy beauty standard. It's like expecting girls to have a tiny flat tummy but a huge behind. It just doesn't work like that, especially if you have a life. Who can or wants to spend 10 hours a day in the gym? What does affect whether I'm attracted to a man is a minimal amount of self-care. Someone who never works out and only eats unhealthy food probably wouldn't turn me on. It's nice when a man can pick me up effortlessly, and it's nice when they know how to prepare a decent meal. Honestly, I'd say don't worry about it. Those girls who desperately want you to look like Superman are a bullet dodged. Story 47. It will definitely give you more attention from women, but you will not get a girlfriend from it. You might have some one-night stands. Story 48. It will improve your chances. It will at least get you some elevated success on the front end. However, every man and his brother are in shape, so that alone will not be enough. I remember a couple of years ago, a woman I managed set up her dating profile, and I was scrolling through her likes. It was an eye-opener. It seemed like every guy was in the gym. Story 49. Personality and social skills are more important. I have been on both ends, very skinny and very overweight. It was never an issue. I am a bit overweight and in a relationship, so personality does a lot of the heavy lifting. Story 50. Obviously, it is going to help. However, it also depends on who you are trying to attract. I am not a gym person. I am active and take care of myself mostly through hobbies, and that is who I am looking to attract. I want an active person who enjoys kayaking, hiking, biking, and similar activities. So, if you are looking for a significant other who seems to love the gym, then that is most likely what they expect. Of course, there are exceptions, but in my experience, this is the rule. Story 51. How important is having nice clothes and a nice personality? Are you going to work out just to attract a date, or for another reason? People who want bodies like that may value things that do not align with what you feel you want. Story 52. Helps with making the experience enjoyable for her. Since intimacy is a defining moment for most people dating, I would say it helps when closing the deal. Aesthetically speaking, I have gotten attention for my abdominal muscles, but that only allowed me to choose a girl I thought was dateable. Most girls who are into muscles seem to be less talkative. Get fit for yourself, your confidence will do the rest. Story 53. Everything helps, and muscles are part of the equation. It makes a bigger difference the older you get. It does not have to be anything extreme, but if it is obvious you work out and you wear clothes that accentuate that, you will receive positive feedback. Of course, you still need to put in the legwork for it to be maximally effective. We do not say that girls do not care about muscles in real life. Any person who has ever built them knows this is false. It is just that you cannot build them, then sit back and expect them to do all the work for you. Only an extremely attractive face makes things that easy. Story 54. I think physical fitness is underrated. Have you ever heard that most women find 80% of men unattractive? Guess what the percentage is of men who would be considered overweight by the behavioral risk factor surveillance system in the United States. Story 55. Looks open doors, but personality keeps you in the room. It is difficult, but being at least reasonably fit is important. It is much harder to open the door without being at least somewhat attractive by some standard. Story 56. Women tend to evaluate the bigger picture more than men do. This usually means placing less emphasis on physical appearance alone. Women consider factors such as kindness, humor, safety, height, and how good a provider you are. Not being in perfect shape can be offset if you excel in these other areas. Story 57. Being in shape definitely does not hurt, but it is not going to make an attractive person fall into your lap either. Story 58. You have to think of evolution and genetics. A woman wants a man who is a suitable partner, a protector, and can provide children for her. They are naturally attracted to men with wider shoulders, bigger forearms, and confidence. I am 5 feet 11 inches and 225 pounds. I do not have a six-pack, but I am well above average in terms of lifting and fitness. Every woman I have been with has said things like, "Oh my gosh, you are so much bigger than me and make me feel so protected." Or they have put their hand or arm next to mine to compare size. Story 59. I am overweight now, and I can tell you I received 100 times more attention when I was at a healthy weight and in shape. I am married now, so it is not an issue, but yes, it is very important. Story 60. I'm not saying be overweight and it will all work out. But every happily married man I know in his 30s and 40s is some shade of average, not muscular. Story 61. Massive. But if you are out of shape and find someone, chances are higher in my experience that they stick around through the harder times. Story 62. It helps. We are going to notice you more if you are in shape. Taking care of yourself is important. When we say that we do not care about muscles, we mean that you do not need to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. I want my man to be able to lift me up and toss me around in the bedroom. However, if you have a bad personality and no confidence, you are not going to keep a woman around for long. Story 63. It is a playing field. You want to be better than your fellow person. You do what it takes to be better than your fellow person. Use all your tools. Story 64. Often, having an athletic body boosts self-confidence. Some women are attracted to athletic types, while most admit they prefer funny or confident men. Develop an athletic body to gain self-confidence. If you find it difficult to talk to women, consider taking an improv course or dance class. Dancing will encourage women to ask you to dance, and improv will help you overcome barriers in communication. These strategies are helpful for those who need extra confidence. Story 65. Step 1. Be attractive. Step 2. Do not be unattractive. If you are not very attractive, you should be in good shape. Story 66. If you have a lean, thin physique, then you are in shape. Some girls are more attracted to bulkier, more muscular guys. Many girls are more attracted to a leaner build. It is the same way for guys. Some guys like a curvy body on a woman, some like thin, and some like muscular. All of these are healthy and in shape, and that is the important thing. A healthy body looks good whether it is bulky or not. Story 67. I'm not fat or thin. I haven't dated for 6 years. Feels like I don't exist to women. Maybe in the United States, women look at physique, but I've heard only men like muscular men. Story 68. It is not entirely necessary. Some people like dad bodies, while others want individuals who are muscular. If you are looking to build muscle, definitely work on your arms and legs. However, a six-pack is not a requirement unless you just want to have one. Story 69. It definitely will open a lot more doors for you. Think of it this way. If you put a t-shirt on, which part of your body sticks out more? Is it your chest or your stomach? Subconsciously, girls will gravitate toward the former. Story 70. In my experience, women care that you put some effort into your appearance because it shows you have your act together and can stick to a course. Did I get more interest from women at 185 pounds than 260 pounds? Yes, no denying that reality. It's why I put the effort into getting back to 185 pounds. Do I prefer women who put the same effort into their appearance? Yes, it's not a double standard if it goes both ways. No woman has ever commented on my muscles directly, though they have liked that I look decent in a suit, including my partner. I'm not overtly muscular. At 185 pounds and 6 feet 1 inch tall, and being a cyclist, I am lean, not big. This belief that you have to have a physique like Thor needs to end. I'm sure some women actively seek that, but in my experience, most do not. They really just want a partner who understands them, will not hurt them, and can make them laugh and happy. Story 71. It is extremely important in my opinion. In my 20s, I worked out every day, and people thought I was using steroids. I always had attention from women. Now I am 35, skinny, and soft from not working out for about 8 years. Dating is much harder, with 0 matches in weeks on apps and little attention in person. I am working on turning it around. Story 72. AskReddit is clear on this. Almost none of the comments say they want a bulked-up man. Even those who like men in shape prefer swimmer or runner-type bodies instead of bodybuilder physiques. Nobody wants an overweight person, but most say they like dad bods. Even then, about 98% say that is only a small part of what they are looking for. The tone of the responses shows they get tired of answering the same question. Confidence without arrogance, empathy, emotional intelligence, a smart sense of humor, and focus on the future are all more important for most women. Story 73. My anecdotal experience is that it is far more important than most people online pretend it is, especially for women. Women will tell you it is not that important, but it is. I received much more attention from women when I was going to the gym and building muscle. There are definitely diminishing returns at a certain point, but most men will never develop enough muscle for that to matter. Most men would benefit, meaning attract more women, if they go to the gym a couple of times a week. Just enough lean muscle to be noticeable will go a long way. There is no need for steroids or an expensive gym program. Just eat relatively healthy, get your proteins, and lift heavy weights a couple of times a week. Some people say it is just confidence, but it is definitely the body too. The confidence the body gives you is a bonus, but a lean, fit body definitely does wonders in attracting female attention. Story 74. Do some cardiovascular exercise. It was a little embarrassing that I was breathing like I ran a 10-kilometer race after 5 minutes of exertion. She did not say anything, but she had to notice. Story 75. For men, unless you are a perfect 10, physical appearance only gets you in the door. Who you are carries the weight in how the relationship progresses. It is also geographical and cultural. When I was in the South, more men could get away with being chubby and muscle was preferred. Now in the Northeast, the focus is on lean men, where muscle is nice but definitely not being overweight is much more important. Story 76. Just regularly work out with cardiovascular exercise and weight training 5 days a week. People can tell, and it makes a difference in how you look without clothes. Story 77. You never need to be bulky. You just need the first 2 years of growth. After that, being lean will reap more rewards. Story 78. In my experience, having a healthy and fit physique can boost confidence, but it is not a make or break factor in attracting women. Story 79. I think style is more important. You can have any body type and still rock complementary clothes. You can be very muscular and dress poorly. Story 80. If you go to the gym, you will feel more confident around women whether it changes your physique or not. Story 81. If you are not gay, you are lucky because the majority of women do not like overly muscular and masculine men. However, the opposite is also undesirable, especially when combined with other mixed feminine traits. Story 82. Have you seen the average man? I am also talking about Generation Z. Being thin but not sickly thin or somewhat in shape definitely gives you an advantage. Generally, being in shape is a great thing. Story 83. There is a notion that there is someone for everyone. I understand the sentiment, but I do not subscribe to that belief. I will say that while there might be someone for everyone, that does not mean your chances do not increase or decrease depending on your fitness level. In summary, it is important not only for dating but also for your general health. Story 84. Girls do not care about the six-pack showing if you have a little padding, but they want to feel a strong man. Someone who can pick them up with little effort. Someone who can handle groceries and heavy-duty chores. They want to feel protected in your big arms. Do not try to be He-Man, but being in shape enough so you do not have a belly is a big step up in the dating scene. Story 85. They do not care about big muscles. They love a good physique. They become enthusiastic for the right aesthetic. Story 86. Maybe when you are 21. Once you hit 30, women just want to settle down with a teddy bear, a house, and a car. Story 87. I have noticed that being lean makes a difference, but being muscular has less of an effect. However, by all means, try it. Many of us become a bit soft in the colder months, and being muscular and lifting heavy weights is much more enjoyable. Story 88. No matter what, take into consideration that true wealth is health. If you have that, you may have longevity and vitality. Work out for yourself, not for others. Story 89. Girls do not care about muscles. Someone is lying to you. The difference was between having to approach girls and them approaching me. Story 90. I have never had anyone show interest when I was overweight, but when I was in shape, a couple of women went out of their way to tell me they thought I was attractive. Story 91. Hugely important. The number of matches I had before working out compared to after is night and day. Story 92. It certainly helps, but it is not the ultimate solution. Looks open the door. Personality invites you in. Most women do not find most men attractive instantly. Therefore, it helps to be as not unattractive as possible. Story 93. It is important to look athletic and lean at first. After they get to know you and love you, it becomes easier to gain a couple of pounds. In my experience, being very strong does not matter at first when you are trying to attract a woman, but once you become intimate and they feel how strong you are, they appreciate it. Story 94. It doesn't hurt, but at the end of the day, I think it's more about not being lazy. Visible muscles aren't really practical for anything beyond looking good in pictures or at the beach, but even then, they're not that important. Being someone who is healthy is. Most men and women of every generation have worked out in some way because humans would go insane if they didn't. It doesn't matter if someone is a runner, a daily gym enthusiast aiming for muscle gains, a yogi, or a calisthenics practitioner. What matters is that they do something toward a healthy lifestyle. If it's not toward a healthier lifestyle, then what matters, this is a very common theme in posts like this, is that you do more than the minimum. Everyone gets tired after school or work or both. Everyone wants to take a nap after an activity, but those who continue and do something, either instead of the nap or after a quick rest, will naturally be more attractive. Building muscle as a thin person is multiple times harder than starting as a larger person trying to cut down and shape up. If you are not consuming a few protein shakes a day between meals or before and after working out, I advise you to start right now. Story 95. You will get a lot more attention if you are in shape, and the level of attractiveness you garner will be better as well. Story 96. Men do not need to be extremely muscular except perhaps in a few unusual cities where I would not want to live anyway. Story 97. For me, it was really important because I am attracted to fit people who take care of themselves. That is what I do as well. If you do not mind your potential partner as they are, then that is okay too. Everyone has their own tastes. Story 98. Woman here, just take care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. Whatever that means to you, that is attractive. If you take care of yourself and work on self-acceptance, then confidence will follow. Confidence is more attractive and noticeable than simply being in shape. Story 99. Important? Not very. Does it make dating easier? Absolutely. There are two types of people who say muscles are not attractive: liars and men without muscle. I have known plenty of muscular men, and they all get a lot of attention. It is not always the attention they want or from women they are interested in, but many women are attracted to them. From nerdy comic book fans to a man who is about 5 feet 6 inches tall, muscles make a difference. That said, there is an upper limit where it becomes somewhat of a turn-off, like on competition day bodybuilders. Muscles just make dating easier but do not guarantee success, especially if you are looking for quality. Story 100. Be in shape for yourself, not for others. Being in shape has many life benefits beyond dating. Also, if you would not date someone who was overweight when considering weight, then you have answered your own question. Story 101. There are men and women who are interested in every kind of person. However, there is a much larger population of people who prefer to date fit individuals rather than unfit individuals. Therefore, if your supply is low, you may need to change your market. Story 102. I think it entirely depends on your age. Physical appearance does matter to varying degrees depending on your age and who you attract. My advice is to always be in slightly above average shape. You want to be in good enough shape that you look like you work out. Typically, you receive a more flattering judgment when you look like you are in shape at any age. However, it has little significance in your 20s. By your mid-30s, it begins to matter a bit more. Story 103. You do not have to look like a World Wrestling Entertainment wrestler, but being the best version of yourself has no downside. Women have preferences just like men do. Some like him muscular and confident, some prefer skinny, nerdy guys. Just be the best you and it will be fine. Story 104. Speaking as a woman who loves to work out, to be honest, a muscular physique is a plus but not a must. Even though I work out around 5 times a week, I would not want a long-term partner who cares too much about his physique, for example, someone who spends all their time in the gym. Story 105. Forget that. You should focus on getting stronger. It should feel euphoric when you lift more than your body weight. Story 106. I'm definitely lying if I say it doesn't matter at all, but it's not the be-all or end-all either. Plenty of out-of-shape people find love. That being said, there is a benefit to being in shape in the sense that it is a component of putting your best foot forward. But if you are thinking that you cannot date unless you look like a bodybuilder, then that is delusional. Story 107. It's not the most important thing ever, but the way I look at it is that it opens doors or serves as a great conversation starter. Each time I take my shirt off at a pool and show my abs, women come up and talk to me. My friend explained it like this. When you buy a new shirt, the first thing that catches your attention is how pretty or nice it is. Then it becomes your favorite shirt because it's super comfortable. It's the same with dating. They like how you look at first, and then they fall in love with your personality. Story 108. It is vital, point blank. You do not have to be a muscle god, but you must be in good physical condition. Story 109. I think more importantly, being fit shows on a surface level that you are able to take care of yourself. Story 110. For online dating, it matters a lot. It is how you get your foot in the door if you are not 6 feet 10 inches tall or rich. Average girls have become quite picky. Story 111. Big difference. I'm not even huge, about 166 pounds, but I clearly lift and am in shape. Intensity, frequency, and quality of attention have all improved compared to when I was skinny fat. It's night and day from the way it used to be. Story 112. Personally, I would not date a woman who is overweight because I am not attracted to that look. Therefore, I would say it matters. Story 113. Everyone I know, including myself, regardless of gender, has had more matches of better quality since getting in shape. You look better, smell better, and naturally act more confident. Your clothes fit better too, which helps you stand out. It is proven that there is an instinctive part of the human brain where people are more attracted to others in good health and appearance because it signifies physical fitness and good genes for mating. It is the biological drive to pass down your DNA with a viable partner. Story 114. My wrestling coach once said, if you want a woman, you can be one of these 3 things: fat, stupid, or bald. I still think about that weekly. Story 115. No one will truly say it matters because it does not. It is about being healthy, not shredded or muscular, and you are not fat. Pretty privilege is real, and losing weight will automatically make people nicer to you. It is not about muscles, it is about health. Story 116. I am thin but have muscle. I got back into shape at 40. At 47, I receive more looks and comments from women than I did at 25. Story 117. It really depends on the woman. Some women want you for your appearance, while others want you for your personality. How long you have known the woman also matters. I was best friends with my first girlfriend for 2 years before we started dating. For her, looks did not matter at all, even for previous boyfriends she knew little or nothing about. Story 118. For me personally as a woman, I am attracted to the confidence and healthy lifestyle associated with working out. I would not date someone who is overweight, but I do not care if you are very lean or not. Story 119. I'm a single woman in my 20s. Not sure if it is okay for me to answer, but I'm a lurker here. Obviously, everyone is different, but it is definitely important to me. You don't need abs or anything, but pretty much all my girlfriends find strong shoulders and arms to be some of the most physically attractive traits. It is true that your personality and your ability to talk to women without being weird are much more important, though. Story 120. It definitely matters. Getting in shape is probably the single biggest thing you can do to make yourself more attractive. Do not ignore it. Story 121. I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall, about 150 pounds. Not skinny, not fat, but a little skinny fat, honestly just built like a normal 28-year-old man. I have no issues when it comes to dating. I'm a normally attractive guy, but nothing special. I think you care more about your physique than someone interested in you does. You work out for yourself, not for others' validation, because the most validation you'll get is, this guy works out, nice. Women care more about who you are as a person. A good physique doesn't make up for a partner who can't make them laugh, isn't kind to them, or doesn't show interest in them. Focus on having a good personality and being a good person. You attract people by doing that. Insecurity isn't attractive, and I think most people, men and women alike, can sense it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.